My next guest really needs no introduction.
Yo, me and D, we signed with BQ.
See, Vicky, you can't do that. See, these are my artists.
Unless you got a signed contract, you ain't got nothing left.
Wait a minute. You did that?
Yo!
Get up!
We first met Blair Underwood nearly 40 years ago when he joined Run DMC and Sheila E. and other legendary rappers in the cult classic Krush groove. It turns out that was just the first drop into what has turned out to be a Hall of Fame career for the Emmy Award-winning actor, producer, and director. But he's had just as much success off the screen. The man isn't just a talented artist, he's also an activist. And now he's being honored for that activism. I'm so honored to be joined by our brother, Blair Underwood. Good to see you, my friend. Welcome to the Griot.
Brother Minister Marc Lamont Hill, it's good to see you, man, always.
Oh man, brother, I'm so, I got the NOI tie too. I'm feeling like Malcolm a little bit today. You got a story that I just can't. No one can match. I mean, it's extraordinary, man. From Krush Groove to what you're doing now. Did you imagine that your career path would take the journey that it's been?
You know, you never know what that journey is going to look like specifically, but I did have the, I hoped and I prayed and worked hard that it would kind of just go along this path. And really what I mean by that is my main objective was to have longevity. I just didn't want to be a flash in the pan. If I had one success, whether it's Krush Groove or, whatever it was, just along the way, that wouldn't be the only thing on my tombstone at the end of the day. And then, brother, I mean, we say 40 years, it hit me for a second. Man, it's been 40 years since Krush Groove. But yeah, my thing was I was 24, 25 when things jumped off, 22 when things jumped off for me. And I learned along the way that it really was about not so much for you, but really about how you give back. And that's kind of really how the activism part of my life really took root.
And I want to talk about that activism thing, man. But just real quick, I have to ask you, I'm always curious to know if the brightest moment in people's career is the one that we think is the brightest, or do you have something special? Like, for example, like you started in L.A. law, and you ain't really looked back since in terms of your career, just took off. Is there a moment that you see as a defining moment in your career?
Man, there are a lot of bright spots, and that's a great question. I think my proudest moments as an artist, just professionally, are those moments in the theater. Doing Broadway, playing Stanley Kowalski on Broadway in A Streetcar Named Desire, a Soldier's Play in 2019, playing Othello. these Shakespearean great roles that intimidate you and scare you, but challenge you and pull you and push you and pull you and grow you at the same time. Those are, I think, my theater workers are probably the biggest highlights. But I have to say, were it not for the Hollywood career, film and television, which I do love, I just love that a little bit more. Were it not for that, it wouldn't afford me the opportunities to do theater on that level.
Absolutely. It's also helped make you a bigger advocate because your platform is so much bigger. And, of course, you've been a great advocate for AIDS awareness. Friday is World AIDS Day, and you're going to be receiving the Lifetime Achievement Award from the AIDS Healthcare Foundation for your work. First, can you explain the purpose behind World AIDS Day and why this is an issue that's so important to you?
Yeah, well, two things. World AIDS Day, just it's a way and a reason and a platform to bring attention to where we are in this journey, since the 80s when people were affected by HIV and AIDS, but more specifically in the Black community. My work initially started with an organization called Artists for a New South Africa that I was a co-founder with Mary Steenburgen, Danny Glover, Alfre Woodard, and many other actors and activists to bring attention on apartheid at the time. But then when Nelson Mandela was released in 1994, then our work shifted to HIV and AIDS in South Africa specifically. So my work really was just grounded there. And then AIDS Healthcare Foundation, AHF, approached me 20-some years ago and said, would you be willing to be a part of this campaign to bring attention to the Black community? And for me, my biggest core of supporters and warriors have been Black women, have always been Black women. And when I learned that at that time, 20-some years ago, HIV and AIDS was the #2 cause of death for Black women, I said I could be a part of that. And if I can be very frank, man, a lot of people thought it was only about the gay community. It wasn't hitting the heterosexual community, it wasn't hitting women and everything else. So I said, if I can be a voice in that and broaden and open and expand the conversation, then let's do it. So that was 20-some years ago. I did a campaign for 3 years, billboards all over Los Angeles, just encouraging people to get tested. Number one, I had a van with my face on it where there were two. Magic had one and I had one, just to encourage people to get tested. And I'm just proud of that work, man. And to receive this award Friday night with the Janet Jackson concert is just, it's amazing. You know, you don't do work for accolades. I don't. So I almost said no when they mentioned it to me, but I said, you know what? I also learned too in service and philanthropy, sometimes it's important to speak about it as we're speaking about it now, because it can inspire others to do more of the same.
Absolutely. And you've certainly inspired so many people to follow in your footsteps with this type of activism. And you mentioned Janet Jackson, and that's right, y'all. Music icon, multi-Grammy winning superstar Janet Jackson is going to be performing in concert at that World AIDS Day event in Houston. And all the money raised by the concert will go towards AIDS awareness. What does that mean now? You know, is it that... does it mean that we're trying to help people who are dealing or living with AIDS? Is it trying to find cures still? Is it treatment? Sort of where are we in that part of it?
You know, in some ways, it's not unlike where we are in COVID. You know, it's not as detrimental, it's not a death sentence as it was 25, 30 years ago. There are therapeutics, there are people, obviously, that can live with it, but it's about awareness that it can affect you. It can change your life because you're dealing with medication the rest of your life if you have it. If you're affected by it, but we're definitely in a better place. But it's not over, and it's not done, and that's really the biggest message.
Okay, now I have some devastating news for those who don't know, including some people in my own production team here. In June, Blair Underwood got married.
Bro,
I'm hearing groans in my ear right now. Congrats, man. I haven't had a chance to congratulate you. Congratulations on getting married. How does it feel? How do you feel?
Man, I'm very happy, man. Thank you for that, number one. But no, man, you know, it's evolution. And my wife now, we've known each other for 43 years, man, and been good friends, and we've had lived separate lives and, you know, other marriages and whatnot, other families, and we now have 9 kids between us. We found ourselves single at the same time. During the pandemic, and started dating. It was one of those things, I call them those life plot twists that you don't expect to happen, but it did. And you know, I learned a long time ago, don't second guess God.
That's a great way to put it, man. So you're getting lifetime awards. You're happily married. You got a beautiful Christmas tree in the background. You got an extraordinary career.
Hey.
What's next for Blair Underwood?
Man,
that thing looked nice, man.
I
knew you were married, by the way, when I saw that Christmas tree, and I saw your jacket matching the ornaments on the tree. I said, this man is too well taken care of to be single.
Bro, you know good and well I didn't decorate this. My wife's name is Josie. Josie
Right.
That's her thing. She's in her happy place decorating. Like I said, we have 9 kids between us. She's got 6, I got 3. She's been running around town decorating all the kids' Christmas trees. So, but I gotta say, this is the best looking one. I gotta say. But anyway, so what's next is, you know, my mother passed away during their COVID in 2020, so I'm writing her memoir, 2 other novels, fiction novels coming out, a movie coming out with Nicolas Cage, hopefully this year. I just saw it the other night, screened it, and I'm excited about that. Ava DuVernay has a movie called Origin, which is brilliant, that you got to see. That's coming out very soon. I have a small part in there, but Ava DuVernay is a friend of mine for years, and anytime she calls us, hey, let's play for a couple of days on the set. So a lot of great stuff I'm excited about, and a lot of skiing here in Utah where I'm living now.
Look, I'm gonna be out there, man. I'm gonna track you down. You're gonna show me this diversity. You're gonna prove me wrong. Show me these black people in Utah. We're gonna have a good time, man. Everybody, we want to thank Blair Underwood for his years of inspiring work and all he has done to raise awareness.